So with Trump inaugurated into office, he is taking a bit of a historical moment by signing more than 200 executive actions on his first day. On his first day in office, just got sworn in, and he's already signing measures, everything from border security to DEI to energy to trade negotiations to everything in between. And we saw with Daniel Smith being able to negotiate with Trump, we got a bit of an extension. Hopefully, Canada is reasonable enough to look at our border security, which is the ultimatum that could resolve all this. God hoping. But Fox News put this little thing together where they said Trump took more than 200 executive actions on day one. On day one. Just got sworn in, just got right into office, and over 200 executive actions on day one. The actions will address border security, DEI, energy, and other issues, which is what Trump campaigned on. And we saw a bit of it with the inaugural address. If you watched our live stream, you heard a bit of it, obviously mentioning about security and immigration as being the top priority, calling a national order, so on and so forth. So, President elect Trump will sign more than 200 executive actions on Inauguration Day, a massive first wave of policies prioritizing priorities focus on border security, energy, reducing the cost of living for American families, ending DEI programs across the federal government, and more, Fox News Digital has learned. A senior administration official who is familiar with the extensive actions and authorized to brief Fox News Digital said Trump on day one will end catch and release. That sounds like a fishing term, but it's actually the mishandling of this horrible immigration policy, meaning that the criminals, the gang members, the people that we brought in illegally, that border security agents, the government knows about, they're undocumented, they don't have any background check, they know about these criminal behaviors of people pouring into the country. They scoop them up and then release them back into society. Hey, we caught the criminals, but flood it back to the streets because chaos makes the establishment thrive. That's why it is a mess that it is right now. Pause all offshore wind leases. So that's the windmills, and if you look at scientific data, the windmills in these in the oceans are actually causing discrepancies in mammal life. They mentioned about the whales, they mentioned about sea life, and there's scientific inquiries about how windmills, these green energy hours in the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, is doing the damage of that. So that's beneficial to sea life. Beneficial to sea life. But you think that would be an environmental win? Just in that. Terminate the electric vehicle mandate, abolish the Green New Deal, withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, and take several major steps to assert presidential control over the federal bureaucracy. The official said Donald Trump will sign multiple omnibus executive orders that each contain dozens of major executive actions. The president is issuing a historic series of executive orders and actions that will fundamentally reform the American government, including the complete and total restoration of American sovereignty, the official told Fox News Digital. On day one, the president elect will declare a national border emergency, direct the U.S. military to work with the Department of Homeland Security to fully secure the southern border and establish a national priority to eliminate all criminal cartels operating on U.S. soil. I, you know, I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that. That seems like a reasonable policy. I would take it a step further and say, hey, maybe have the bankers examined and investigated, and the CIA investigated for their backing of the cartels for allowing these drugs to flow in prosperously due to the fact that they want to subjugate control. Again, just like the war on drugs taught us, the whole purpose of it is to seize control of poor neighborhoods. Because it's not about the drugs that they're worried about. It's the worry about how do we make it illegal for impoverished people. Because Rich people use crack cocaine. Rich people are using illegal narcotics. Hunter Biden got a full pardon from the president. Daddy Warbucks decided to bust me out. And no one's concerned about his drug abuse or celebrities. But if you happen to be a poor person in a poor neighborhood, that's what the war on drugs is for. So I would take it a bit further, but it's good that we're taking these steps. Trump will close the border to all illegal aliens via proclamation, Fox News Digital has learned. Trump will also create task forces for the protection of Homeland Security with officers from the FBI, ICE, and the CEA and other agencies to fully eradicate the presence of criminal cartels. Again, can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. Trump will also direct designations of cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, which the official said will unlock new authorities to achieve the Trump Homeland Security mission. Fox News Digital has learned that Trump will reinstitute Remain in Mexico and direct the military to construct a new era of border wall. He will grant emergency authorities to suspend the entry of illegal aliens across the southwest border, allowing for individuals to apprehendedly be swiftly returned to their countries of origin. Trump will fully unleash Alaskan energy, which the official described as essential to U.S. national security. The senior official told Fox News that the energy executive order deals with every single energy policy and addresses liquid natural gas, ports, fracking, pipelines, permitting, and more, while also terminating President Biden's policies, he said, have constrained U.S. energy supply. The officials also said Trump will fully reform the federal bureaucracy by reestablishing presidential control over the career federal workforce and make clear to federal workers they can be removed from posts for failing to comply with executive directives. Trump will sign executive order to strengthen presidential control over senior government officials and implement a new merit-based hiring review. Trump will also take action to return federal workers to in-person work. The official also said Trump will end the weaponization of federal government and restore freedom of speech and end federal censorship. Again, it's hard to argue against this. How is this not a win? How is this not a win? Unless you're one of the blue-haired authoritarians that are crying about this and wondering how you're going to get out of going to work as a federal agent. Can't use the faking remote working while taking a nap. Trump on his first day will also suspend security clearances for the 51 national security officials who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop ahead of the 2020 presidential election. He is also expected to abolish biological sex definitions, rename places like the Gulf of Mexico, which will become the Gulf of America, and more. Yes, I remember. Is that even possible? Is that even possible? Like, I'm just thinking that's kind of like an international body of water. So if Trump has the ability to change the name of it, doesn't have to go through like international courting and like the UN, and they're gonna have to change all the maps around the world to inflate. I don't know how that's possible. I just seems too crazy for it to actually happen. I think that was just rhetoric that Trump was trying to boost up. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, I didn't think Rupert Murdoch could buy the stock market, but he did. So anything's possible. Anything's possible. Trump on day one will also end all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the federal government. Trump will also establish a new Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE, hiring freeze, and then the official said gain control over foreign aid and NGO funding. That's Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who is no longer part of DOGE. No longer part of DOGE. Not even holding off till he actually started working at the department. Kind of interesting. Fake Ransomwami decide to get out of there. He is reasserting muscular control of the executive branch of the United States government, the official told Fox News. As for reducing the cost for American families, Trump will sign a presidential memorandum directing all agencies and departments to remove all federal actions that increase costs for families and consumers, which the official told Fox News will be beginning of Trump's historic deregulatory efforts of his second term. The president-elect on Sunday previewed one of his day one executive orders related to the popular video sharing app TikTok, which was forced to go dark in the United States following a ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court. Trump said he will sign an order on Monday that will extend the period of time before the law's prohibitions take effect, so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that kind of interesting? And Trump was on board for censoring TikTok. He was one of the people during his first presidency that was on board for it. And then Joe Biden, the Democrats, also signed on board with it. We know exactly why they want it banned. It has nothing to do with security. It has to do with the security of propaganda. They want to secure brainwashing individuals into AIPAC and Israel and the war crimes that are going on over there. But Donald Trump is now, again, because he's a businessman, this is how important negotiations are. People made a case to keep TikTok on, and TikTok is good for businesses. A lot of small entrepreneurs use TikTok as a means to market themselves to people. It's not just a social media app for young kids, it's influential for everybody. And they're able to make a deal. They're able to make a deal. Trump's extending the period before it goes dark to say, hey, let's find a way for negotiations. Let's find a business deal so that this application doesn't go completely off the grid and Americans don't get locked out of another social media app that wants to censor more people. So it seems like a win-win for a lot of different reasons. Trump official described the wave of actions as shock and awe on a scale never seen before. Gonna be huge. Gonna be huge. Gonna be bigger than China. China. He should have had that to his inaugural address. It's gonna be huge. Shock and awe. Shock and awe. America. F yeah. So, Craig Kelly, this guy here, who I believe is a member of the Australian Parliament, he's running as like a right-wing kind of conservative. He tweeted about Trump's inauguration and the amount of executive orders that are being preside over Trump. And he says, oh, the joy. It's difficult to explain the satisfaction of seeing Trump do everything I've been fighting for years. Number one, exiting the World Health Organization. Trump is signing right now to get the United States out of this criminal globalized cartel of pharmaceutical lobbyists, which is what the WHO has turned itself into. When you have Bill Gates and Gavi and NIH and all these institutions being the number one funders of an organization like this, that's how you know it's no longer about health. That's how you know it's no longer about the safety, illness, and healthcare of citizens around the world. It is a cartel of pharmaceuticals, billionaires, globalists that are gathered together to, again, implement a way to longigate your illnesses. Is that a word, longigate? We'll go with it. Number two, exit the Paris Climate Accord. Now, some people looked at that as, when Trump was first in office, I looked at that and saying that was kind of messed up that he would leave the Paris Climate Accord. But the Paris Climate Accord, again, run by billionaires that don't even care about the planet to begin with. So it doesn't make sense to contribute to an organization that completely goes against the intentions of said organization. It's like all the people that go to Davos, they take their private planes and they take their motorcades up to the hills of Switzerland to talk about climate change. How you can't have a gas lawnmower. How you have to have an electric vehicle. How we can't have fresh meat anymore. You have to eat bugs for the planet. But I'm allowed to buy carbon credits and travel around the world. Live my luxurious life. You live in poverty. You peasant. So, exiting the Paris Accord. Sounds like an actual smart idea. Number 3, drill, baby, drill. Which when I heard that, I thought, one, that should be a bumper sticker. That should be a bumper sticker. They could sell that all over the place. And two, could you imagine? I know he's dead set for the Village People and YMCA, but could you imagine if Trump brought in who's the band that sings Burn Baby Burn? Let's go Inferno. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, they brought them in and they did a parody of that song just called Drill Baby Drill. Energy Ferno, drill baby drill. I'm not a singer for obvious reasons. You want someone to sing a song? Talk to my father. He's actually a singer. Stop offshore wind turbines. So that's again to protect sea life and whales and mammals that are living on the coastal regions, which is actually scientifically proven. There's actual data implementing that. Scrapping mandates for electric vehicles, protecting free speech. That's only day one, folks. That's only day one. So that's kind of impressive. But sadly, there are some measures that are jeopardized. As you know, Trump being in line with with Mira Adelson, being in line with APEC, knowing who his cabinet is, I kind of had a hunch, and I warned people that when this ceasefire deal originated, don't have your hopes up. We'll see what happens, because now a reporter asked Trump, how confident are you on the ceasefire in Gaza? And he says, I'm not confident. It's not our war. It's their war. I'm not confident at all. So here's what went down in the regards of keeping the Gaza cease war agreement, and doesn't look good, folks.
Confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of the deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident, but I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2-state?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place is...
So I love how he says, I looked at a picture. It's a complete demolition site. A picture. As if there's no evidence to back any of the genocide, any of the mass amount of wiping out this population, wiping out a civilization that all of us have seen. All of us have seen 24 hours a day on TikTok, on X, on all these different platforms. We constantly seen videos and images for hours on end. But apparently there's one photo and Trump looked at it and goes, oh, that's kind of devastating. It's like, didn't he say in the inauguration speech about the California wildfires? That's interesting. It's interesting. You lost your house. It's interesting. Interesting. Natural disaster burnt down his house. Interesting. The devastation. I only saw one photo. It looks like a car wreck. But here's where Donald Trump, being kind of this businessman, real estate tycoon, this is where, again, being him and being connected to the Adelsons, being connected to APEC is a worrisome factor for me. This isn't over, folks.
It's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. You know, Gaza's interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather. You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful...
Best weather. It's interesting. It's interesting. The real estate is just, it's marketable. It's the location is just wonderful. We can make this like a Middle East Malibu. We're going to redevelop it. So that sadly is part of the other factor of all this mayhem and the genocide and wiping out an entire population is the real estate factor, the business side, and opportunity that it brings to the most insane megalomaniac, psychotic supervillains to ever walk the face of the earth. And I'm not shocked by this. I'm not shocked by hearing this. One, Trump is a real estate guy. He is going to look at location. He's going to look at properties. He's going to have that in the back of his mind because he's been in real estate for so long. He's a business guy. He's going to look at it and go, "Oh, that's such a great opportunity. Such great land. It's devastating, but such great land." Also, remember what Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, first said about Gaza when going over there, looking at the devastation, looking at these people in basically an open air prison system, that they're locked in their homes, that you're in a in an apartheid state. And Jared Kushner said, "Well, look at the land. Look at how great the real estate is. Think of all the beachfront properties you can build on here." That's what's sadly gonna happen. Is all this devastation, all this pushing, all the death that they've occurred in this area. They're now just gonna wipe clean. They're gonna bulldoze everything, and they're going to rebuild these modern day, mansions on beachfront properties, hoping that other Zionists, these billionaire comments, will go over there and buy property there. So it sadly doesn't look well for keeping the deal when it comes to this ceasefire. Even though Trump sent one of his henchmen over there, twist the arm of Netanyahu, said, "Hey, you got to cut it out." Netanyahu was not invited to the inauguration. I think Trump was trying to use that as a way for, "I don't want you to ruin the ratings," because he's a ratings guy. I care about ratings. So I think that that's part of it. But now that he's inaugurated, now that he's in office, now everything's up in the air again. Now we probably won't see, and it's already sadly happened because, as we're going to show later on, Israel already broke its ceasefire agreement already. Literally just days ago, as it was enforced, they already broke the agreement, and they still want to cry boo-hoo. Oh my God, Hamas! Hamas is doing such evil workings, and we've seen pictures of these Zionist cult creatures screaming about this ceasefire deal and how bad it is. How a peace deal to save hostages, by the way, to save the hostages, how they were angered by it. Can you think of more of an insane person, an immoral creature, a person with no human ability, no human empathy or sympathy for anyone, to be angry at a peace deal that's going to save people within your country? Can you think of how sinister you would have to be, that mindset, to be angry at a ceasefire deal that would potentially save victims that you're trying to save? "Oh, no, we can't have this ceasefire deal because we gotta destroy, we gotta take them out. You gotta throw the hostages back. They're leverage. You know what? I just don't care. I need to take that land." And this is part of it. The real estate. Location, baby. It's all sea properties. Oceanfront properties in the Middle East. It's gonna be great. We'll put a nice spread. It'll be the new Malibu. We'll call it Halibu. I don't know. But sadly, some promises are made and some promises are kept. And that's why, with Trump in office, with anyone in office, you have to stay vigilant. You have to keep an eye out, and you have to make sure that they mandate their promises and keep very, very focused, including the MAGA people. I'm speaking directly to you guys because you got this guy into office on a mandate to promise all these initiatives. It seems to be so far working out, But in other areas where he definitely promised and got a lot of support, you got to make sure you're on him to commit to those promises. And if he doesn't, you have to speak up vocally, which I know is difficult. A lot of people don't want to speak up against their leaders, but that is how effective things can change. How you can get grassroots support and actually effectively change the decision policy. And at least with Trump, he's negotiable. So if people have a strong enough case to argue against him, Trump might actually be reasonable to listen out. But right now, he's on board with Miriam Adelson. He's on board with the whole Zionist movement, and that's one down the drain. But it's good that we're getting free speech. It's good that we're getting, in America, things are kind of getting to a decent point, but it ain't over yet.